It's me, Daniel Crawford again, and I just wanted to talk about a few things pertaining to trade. Now, granted, this is not something I've been overly passionate about over time. My economic concerns mostly lie elsewhere, but I am familiar with the problems regarding the North American Free Trade Agreement, the Central American Free Trade Agreement, the Free Trade Agreement with Colombia, as well as the World Trade Organization and what is now being debated, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Part of the problem here, and this is one of the many facets of concern with respect to the economy, as it all seems to be interconnected. But one of the problems here is that free trade, though it is well-meaning, based on Adam Smith's ideal that if you remove restrictions to trade, then society will flourish overall, as this free exchange of ideas is allowed to proceed. And that's all well and good. It really is. However, the current way of going about so-called free trade is it's imbalanced significantly. I don't have to tell you that as a result of having our standards, our high standards of how the economy is supposed to work, how jobs are supposed to be created here in the United States, as well as how laborers are supposed to be treated, and the environment is supposed to be dealt with. Our high standards are often forced to compete with the extremely low standards of the third world, these countries that we are opening ourselves up to trade with. And again, I am not opposed to trading with countries like China or any part of Central America, India, Vietnam, any of those. The problem is when you have this imbalance, it creates a vacuum of sorts. And we've seen a lot of jobs move overseas. Part of the reason for that, and I do emphasize on part of the reason for that, is for instance, in places like China, you have people working over there for basically the equivalent of like $1 a day, and if even that. And when you compare that work, $1 a day, really horrible environmental standards, to our minimum wage standard at the very least here in the United States, it creates an incentive for businesses to send those jobs overseas. They basically want to maximize their profit, and the way they're going to see that they can do that is by having people make the products that they need for much cheaper than they do here. It just makes economic sense. So I am a strong proponent of fair trade, balancing out the standards so that we don't have this issue regarding employers, businesses, whatever, sending jobs to other countries so that they can make things cheaper. I've said on the website that I believe, that the standards should be balanced out in one way with respect to how employers who are headquartered in the United States, who are based in the United States, but employ people outside of the United States, that they should treat all their workers, regardless of where they're based at, on the same standards as they would American workers. So that way, American workers can compete with them on an even playing field. I believe that should be a standard for all trade practices. We should basically go the distance in demanding a little more out of our trade partners over time. We should be willing to accommodate them so long as it's reasonable and within our standards. But I think that we have to have a starting point where we try to move the bar up as opposed to lowering